Hello chess friends, welcome back to our YouTube channel. In this video, we're going to have a look at a chess tactic which is popularly known as attraction. And it's a very simple chess tactic but very effective and very powerful. At the same time, it's as its name suggests, it's very attractive because of the sacrifices that are involved. So here, we're going to look at 5 examples of this. Here is the first one: white to play and win the game. Basically, what you have to do is attract one of the pieces, either the queen or the rook or the king. In this particular case, it's of course the king, the monarch, and you have to attract him on a square where he doesn't want to go. It's similar to decoy, but it's a more purer form of a tactic. So attraction it is. White to play, win the game. So go ahead, pause the video and try to find the beautiful move that white played here. Alright guys, hope you found the beautiful stunning move queen takes g8 on check. That's a check. Basically we sacrifice the king simply in order to attract the king on the g8 square that is forced. Now you can see we have perfect lineup on the h file, but how do we use it? For, for us to effectively use it, you need to sacrifice another piece, rook h8 check. As this square is covered, he's forced to capture. Again, this move attracts the king to the h8 square. So we have attract him first on g8 and then now on h8. Now the entire point is bishop to f7, bishop covers the square, escape square, and rook gives a decisive checkmate. So basically that's all about attraction. You attract a piece and you give him a checkmate or you win some material. Alright, so this was the first example, a very attractive one. Now let us have a look at our second example. So here comes our second example, again based on the same tactical idea of attraction. So it's white to play. Again, there is a very beautiful combination that exists over here, which will really make your day. So white to play and win the game. Attract the king on his square where he doesn't himself want to go and give him a checkmate. So if you guys want, you can always pause the video. I'm gonna go ahead and directly show you the move. The first move is, you can see the bishop and the queen are lined up on this diagonal creating a battery. How do we use it? The thing is, we can use it in a forced way. We don't have to waste time opening the knight. We can directly play queen h7 check. Now king has to capture, of course. That's the only move. The king has been attracted. We have dragged the king on h7, and now knight f6 is a double check. The knight gives a check, the bishop gives a check. You can see over here that is a double check. King has to go back, only square, only move. And now knight to g6 is a wonderful double knight checkmate, very rare and very beautiful. So basically all we had to do is attract the king, drag him out, and then give a checkmate. So this is the second example. Now let's jump on to our third one. So this one is super cool. It's black to play, attract the king, and you know the rest of the game will be an easy win for black. You can see the lineup on the diagonal, the bishop on b7 and the queen on d5, the rook on f6, all indicating towards one particular move. So go ahead, pause the video and try to find the stunning move that black is going to play here in order to win the game. Alright, hope you found the very attractive move, which is an attraction. Rook takes on f3. Basically, the entire point is after he captures with the bishop, you play queen takes f3, sacrificing the entire queen. First you sacrifice an exchange, now the queen. The entire point is the king is dragged out. Of course, if the king doesn't want to go out, for example, if he goes over here, then we can simply play knight takes, open up the bishop on b7, and there will be checkmating threats on g2 square. Very dangerous, of course. So let's have a look at a main line. That will obviously be winning for black. If captures, then it's very important that you play the right move, and that is knight takes on d4. Knight on d4 also controls the e2 square, so the king can no longer go back. This is the correct move. It's a double check again from the bishop, from the knight. The king has to move. Again, the king cannot go back thanks to a bishop. King has to step up the board, and this square is covered, of course. So king g4 only move, and now comes bishop c8 check. Again, king is stopped from going to the h3 square. King can no longer, if you would have moved your pawn, the problem was the king was going back and retreating and he would have been successfully escaped. That's why bishop c8 is the correct move to play. And now king h4, knight to f3 is a wonderful checkmate. So all you had to do was attract the king out over here with queen takes on f3. This is a very beautiful, attractive chess tactic, and one of my favorite, of course. It's super easy to play, and it's really fun to have such checkmates in your game. So let's have a look at our third example now. Fourth one, pardon me. Here is a fourth example. Again, this one has more sacrifices than the previous ones. White to play, attract the king out and give a decisive checkmate. I just don't want you to calculate the first move because the first move is rather simple. I think most of you would have already understood how this tactical idea works. I want you to find the entire combination, and that will be a very good calculating exercise for you guys. So go for the king hand, white to play, and win the game. All right. I'm pretty much sure that all of you guys would have guessed the move. Queen takes on g6 because of the bishop on b1, which is just waiting for the opportune moment to open up. Now let's have a look at what happens if it does not take. Of course, capturing is the main line, but let's have a look at king h8. Now you're going to play knight to e5, basically clearing up the entire diagonal for the bishop and the queen. And queen h7 is actually a very strong threat. Something like knight f6 would have really going to let me just have knight f6 on the board. I think this would really end up badly after something like knight f7 check. King goes over here, and now something like captures is okay. What else? Yes, this capture looks very strong with several other winning options. I think this is definitely winning for us, followed by knight f5, or this knight coming over here, or this coming over here. Even in this position, bishop into h6 was a move to be considered, of course, but there was queen f7. But maybe let me just check the best move in this position just to be sure. In this position, if he plays knight f6, then the best move suggested by engine is knight to f7. We were right. Queen takes on f7. He suggests to give up the queen. Why not just king over here? Now you see the point. Knight to f5 is actually the strongest move in this position, with the threat of, if you, for example, if he takes, we're going to let him capture, and now knight h6, and that is a wonderful fork. Totally winning for white. All right, got it. So a little bit of help from our silicon friend. All right, so the king goes back, then knight e5 wins. If the king goes to g8, then there is another winning move, and that is knight to f5. Again, the threat is attack the pawn, threaten mate over here. Queen takes g7 is a threatened mate, and of course knight into h6 is another threat. There are multiple threats. This is basically more or less winning for white in the long run. And with this bishop combined, I don't think he's going to last more than 10 moves or even 5 moves in that position. So of course, in this position, after the queen sacrifice, he accepted it, and here comes his fate now. Knight to e5. It's a double check from the knight, from the bishop. The bishop stops the king from going back to the h7 square. The knight stops the king from going to the f7 square. This square is covered. This square is covered. Only one square to go. King f6. Now comes rook f2 check. Again, the king lacks squares. If he captures the knight, for example, then simply rook to f5 is a nice checkmate. And if he goes over here, in that case, knight to c6 is a super strong move. The king, it turns out that the king has absolutely no moves. He has to give up the queen. And again, you don't even have to capture back the queen, because bishop to, pardon me for that, bishop to g5 is actually a direct checkmate, double check from the bishop and the rook. And everything is perfectly covered. All of our pieces covers everything. This is wonderful tactical idea. And this is why I wanted you to calculate this beautiful line. All right, so queen takes g6 is a star move, attracting the king out, and once the king is attracted, then the rest is pretty much simple, as you have already guessed. Just rook f2 and blah blah blah. So let's look at our last example now. Hope you have enjoyed all of this example. Let's have a last one. Equally good, of course, with full of sacrifices. So here's the last example of our attraction tactic, and this is super tempting. It's delicious in a way. I don't know how, but it's super tempting. The moves are very attractive and something that you would very much like to play. White to play, attract the king and give him a nice checkmate. So let's go ahead, pause the video and try to find the entire line. This is super beautiful, guys. I want you to find the entire sequence. All right, so hopefully you found the move queen to e7, sacrificing the queen. So most of our puzzles have some sort of they start with queen sacrifices or rook sacrifices. They start with sacrifices, which makes them very impactful. You know, when you learn chess, it should also have an emotional impact on you for you to remember moves like this. You definitely remember moves like this, and you definitely remember the concept if we look at sacrifices. That's the reason in all of our puzzles there are always sacrifices, because they make an impact, an emotional one, and it's like you always remember them. So of course, the only move for him is to capture. And now comes a very important move. You can't be careless over here. You have to be very alert. Knight to g6 is the only correct move because we are controlling the f8 square. Otherwise, the king would have just simply gone back. So this stops him from going back to f8. f7 is covered by this knight. Rook gives a check. It's a double check, of course. And this d file is covered, which means that basically black has only one move. King to e8. And now comes knight f7 check. The knights are now totally destroying the king. The king goes in the corner, but of course, he's not going to be living a long, happy life because knight e7 ends his ends the game, ends his life. This is a beautiful example of attraction. You attract the king to a square, which is very unpleasant, where he doesn't want it to go. But once he's over there, then the king hunt begins, and there is no way to stop the king hunt. You can see none of all the other black pieces were even able to get in the game. So these were the 5 examples I wanted to show you. Really attractive, really beautiful. Remember the tactic attraction. It's very common, and this can actually happen. This kind of tactics, not exactly this ones, but similar ones can actually occur in your game. There are many of such which happened in the game of Bobby Fischer. For example, Bobby Fischer against this is a King's Indian game where he sacrifices rooks and sacrifices the queen. A queen for the king is the title of the game. There are many such famous examples of attraction where you sacrifice a piece, attract the king, and give a checkmate. So, hope you all enjoyed this one. Thank you for watching and do subscribe to our YouTube channel. More such videos are on the way. Until next time.